Timeless. Chapter 11. Lunar Dances and Moonlit Nights.
So that's all we've got? Some mysterious packages containing purple liquid, wendigos, and the knowledge that our enemy is planning something?
Tempered Steel asked, frowning as Shifting nodded.
So far, at least. That certainly doesn't make my job any easier too. All those escaped prisoners just vanished. And that's at least 100 ponies that may have joined their cause, maybe more. They're bound to make some sort of move. Perhaps this lag time is to train the new recruits?
The Lunar Knight Commander sighed. The leader of the Celestial Legionnaires let out a huff, setting aside the few sheets of paper with a grunt.
No, that's a disturbing thought indeed, but at least it gives us more time to prepare. I'll pass this along with the head of the Royal Guard. I don't really know what else we can do, other than to be on alert. My units are as stretched thin as it is, having been covered both the day and night incidents.
The light orange Earth Pony then grinned, gesturing to Shifting.
It'll be a load off of my back once you have the Knights up and running again. We've worked far too long without them watching our backs. I've had my suspicions about you at first, Commander, but safe to say, you've blown every expectation out of the water, both in the Centurions and in the Royal Guard.
Shifting smiled back, nodding in reply.
Just doing my job. Same thing I've been doing for 1,000 years. Well, sort of.
A genuine laugh left Tempered's muzzle, the pony waving a hoof at Shifting.
Yet another reason we're happy to have the help. You've got a bit more experience than most. I imagine you've got somewhere to be, though? Thank you for the update, however. Let me know how the screening process goes.
Throwing a respectful salute to his daytime companion, Shifting nodded as he trotted out of the secluded offices, the guard's ponies on station stiffening as he passed.
The screening process. The recruit should already be there.
As the commander traveled down to the training grounds, the unicorn let his mind wander slightly. In the past week, or no, it had been 2, time is flying by. The days had blurred together, very little time being allotted for freedom outside of training and restructuring the Lunar Knights. Shifting had been trying his hardest to get the recruits up to speed because they needed a fighting force to supplement the other guards. Thankfully, they were about up to par in terms of combat now and were preparing for their final exam.
At least I got a few dates in.
The second, third, and fourth dates with Luna had been brief, but no less enjoyable than the first. To the warrior's surprise, Luna seemed most relaxed when simply reading and discussing ancient art or poetry, something Shifting had quickly prepared for.
That look on her face when I told her that the poem is about a pair and not a lover. I knew the guy, he loved pairs. So, maybe it was both.
They had only been able to spare an hour or two for such dates, but the subtle feeling of being relaxed with the other continued to grow.
That's how it should be though, right? I'm just not worried about putting on a facade or the like. I'm just glad that we could keep things up, even in a crisis. And then there's the dance in a few days. I wonder if the package—
Hello, my aged unicorn, how goes it?
A drawling voice asked, a familiar Draconiquist floating in front of Shifting.
It goes well, other than paperwork. Lots of paperwork. If not for how important I was, I wouldn't mind some of your chocolate rain clouds to wash it away.
Shifting grumbled.
Nice to meet you officially, by the way, Discord. I expected you to pop in much sooner. We did meet earlier, though, about 1,000 years ago.
The Lord of Chaos's cheery demeanor deflated ever so slightly. Shifting then waved a hoof.
Having my hooves turned into shrimp was hardly traumatizing. And yet the smell— Anyhow, I assume such things are in the past.
Discord nodded, examining his claws briefly with a huff.
Oh, yes, you know, being reformed and all. But I still enjoy my fun. I have been watching you for a time, and simply wanted to finally say hello. Officially, of course. Congratulations on your new station in courting the moon, by the way. From what I hear, you've got a bit of an icy problem to defrost.
Shifting chuckled, the sound seeming to put Discord a bit more at ease, if such a thing were possible.
Well, thank you. And it's nice to meet you outside of the previous encounter.
Shifting replied, continuing to trot onwards as Discord floated alongside him.
I don't suppose you can help us with this Wendigo problem. It threatens every pony in Equestria, including those in Ponyville. If I recall from the reports, you are rather fond of your friends.
Shifting had read up considerably on Discord, and while the chaotic creature appeared reformed, he still was, well, him. At least the malicious nature seemed to be a thing of the past, especially since a certain yellow Pegasus occupied a portion of his time. Discord let out a huff, a bit of magical energy spinning around his claws like a snake.
Oh, har har. Yes, I fully well know that this issue threatens Fluttershy. How very subtle of you, by the way, but my claws are tied.
How so? Last I checked, you're one of the most powerful creatures in Equestria, or the world, for that matter.
Are you trying to butter me up with flattery?
Well, not flattery if it's true.
Discord let out a genuine chuckle, fanning himself with a set of claws.
Oh, Luna picked well, you're a fun one! But I actually cannot help, not in the way that you'd like. If I did, things may be better, or more likely, much worse.
How so?
Discord waved, countless glowing jelly beans now floating in front of Shifting.
Let me try to explain in non-chaotic terms, as much as I dislike it. Each one of these beans is an event. A single choice affects other events, yes?
He flicked a bean, causing a strand of energy to dart to a dozen more.
Each choice leads to more choices and events, and so on and so forth. Chaos magic loves to mess with that. So let us say that I was to help you against these ghostly creatures, or remove them outright.
Discord touched a large blue bean, and it promptly withered into a dry husk. The effect spread amongst others, even as hundreds of beans glowed with strands of energy.
It may do more harm than good, drastically so. Perhaps it would let a greater threat appear. Maybe it would be a happy ever after, but incur a great cost in a decade. Or maybe it would be all fine and dandy. Chaos being what it is, such help would set off events that even I cannot see. And then there's the whole should I intervene, the same reason Celestia doesn't. Some of us cannot afford such a limited perspective.
Shifting blinked, his mind trying to wrap around exactly what Discord was saying.
So if you helped, you very well might make things worse, and that's outside the whole being super powerful and meddling with mortals bit? Playing the long-term game, whatever it is?
Discord banished the bean illusion with a wave of his claws, clapping excitedly.
Oh, you're quick! That's nice. I hate it when the mind of a pony breaks and everything I say just flows in one ear and out the other.
Sand promptly began to pour from one of Discord's ears for a time, the Draconicus then letting out a snort.
But in short, yes. Some events I can intervene in, such as to protect my friends in a direct and immediate incident. But a global situation with so many more outcomes and such, I steer clear of those. There's chaos, and then there's just orderly chaos. Yuck.
Like a war?
Discord stared at the pony for a moment, then let out a rather impressed hum.
Oh, I have underestimated you by far, Timeless Commander.
He mused.
That would be correct. Perhaps you and Luna can discuss the effects of cosmic theory sometime. I do have to be off though, and I believe that you have a deadly classroom to run.
Shifting waved to the chaotic creature, levitating a pocket watch out with a nod.
Indeed. Take care, Discord, and I'll ask Luna about that.
Ta-ta!
Watching the Draconicus literally zoom away on some rather gaudy purple roller skates, Shifting took a few deep breaths as he resumed his trot towards the training grounds.
You're an interesting one, Discord, but at least I don't have...
A soft squish caught Shifting's attention, and the pony's left eye twitched slightly.
Discord! No shrimps!
A cackle was heard in the distance, the seafood slippers vanishing as the commander trotted onwards.
Stupid shrimps.
Luna could barely contain the anticipation as a box was teleported into her study, the final package from Shifting having arrived. Her question as to why it took so long was answered by a note taped to the outside.
I asked them to delay this for a time. Hopefully it's not too late.
Opening the box, Luna's brow furrowed on seeing a simple question neatly written on a piece of parchment.
Would you accompany me to the upcoming dance event? If nothing else, for a few songs at the very least. Just write your answer and tap the box twice. It will teleport it back to me. Your ever-loyal knight, Shifting.
Luna quickly retrieved a quill, scrawling her eager reply and tapping the box. As it vanished, the alicorn let out a soft squeal, then composing herself as she got ready for the night court.
I'd love to, Shifting.
The words igniting a warm glow in Shifting's chest, the stallion then put the small box away, glaring at the 30 or so recruits in front of him, the item having teleported to the commander moments ago, mid-lecture.
What? Never seen a stallion get a message from his date?
He barked, grinning at the immediate reply.
Sir, yes, sir! Better. Now then, the reason I've called you all here...
Shifting began, pacing back and forth. Armor weaved itself onto his frame until the commander was fully clad in his lunar night regalia.
You all have almost completed your basic guard training and have only the final test to complete. I don't anticipate any of you failing that. However, our enemy will not wait for you to finish that test, nor gain experience to rise in the ranks. As you may have heard, Princess Luna has elected me to be the new commander of the Lunar Knights. As such, I would like to look for volunteers for this organization. You would take your final test and immediately begin training further.
Shifting paused, waiting until the excited murmurs died down, then resumed his back and forth pacing, expression becoming more somber.
Now then, before any pony volunteers, I must make one thing very clear.
The commander began, steely gaze drifting from each recruit to the next.
The Lunar Knights are an organization far above the requirements of the Night Guards. You must be held to those standards at all times. Those include greater physical fitness, psychological stress, and the willingness to use lethal force on a possibly regular basis. While the Night Guards may have to use lethal force, it is strictly as a last resort. The Lunar Knights stand ready to handle the threats the Guard cannot. and that will require you to kill. If you cannot do that for whatever reason, you put yourself and your squad at risk.
He saw a few ponies averting their gaze at his words, clearly uncomfortable at that last bit.
This position is not for every pony. Some may feel disgraced if they don't volunteer. I would argue and expect the opposite, however. If you know your limits and you do not put your fellow knights at risk by not applying, I would say that is what an honorable guard would do. There is no shame in not applying. I would argue that it is dishonorable in applying with the knowledge that you will have trouble fulfilling the requirements, even after training. For those wishing to volunteer, there's a simple training exercise to gauge a few things that will take place momentarily. Please meet me at the combat training area in 10 minutes for those who wish to apply today. I'll see about late entrance this coming week, but thought to inform you of this immediate process. Every pony is dismissed.
As the recruits began to move, Shifting made them all pause with a final announcement.
Remember, only apply if you feel able and willing to do so. If you enter into this training with the idea of peer pressure or the ability to fake it will suffice and push you through, you will fail. And I will make it a point to weed out those who put the entire organization at risk.
More than a few years were laid flat as the Thestrals dispersed, leaving Shifting to make his way towards the training area.
If they can't kill, that'll lead to nothing but failure. Training ponies to be predators is no easy task. That took me long enough.
A couple of familiar faces ought to show up. Could be shocking or expected, but it's still nice to see them anyhow, even if they are going to be trained killers. Anywho, let's get on to our glorious donators. Top donators are 630, Peter Coulthard, J Tinman, Darkside, and Only One Thing. Rayden, Narwhals, Blackmoonheart, Pastel Skies, Austin Roland, Crazy Killer 557, Stu Hex, Will, Omicron Lyrae, Chris, Michael Taylor Moore, Twinkie, Dospo, Delta Omega, Jack Hedge, RunesLife9852, Madman Stan, Lizzie Perkett, Drake Lovedragon, Hunter Norman, Stephen Bingham, LineGuy12, Sorcerer Constantine, Hudzaza, Conver, and many more amazing people. Thank you all so much for watching this video and live life to the fullest.